So anyway, first step is gonna be to pick, for this first bracelet, we're gonna need 5 different colors. So you're gonna want 5 different strands of your floss. A hot tip, this doesn't work 100% of the time, but to pull your embroidery floss off of the little spools here without getting a jumbled mess, again, this isn't 100%, but most of the time, if you hold it with your thumb, let's see, I'm down here, your thumb and your index finger on the top label there, and then your pinky around the bottom one, if you can kind of see that, it feels like I'm trying to play a guitar. And then gently pull, if you find one of the ends, you should find one of your end strands kind of towards the bottom of one of your sides. You want that to be on the bottom, and then you just want to lightly kind of hold those labels and then pull. So what should happen is that without tangles, you're able to pull pretty seamlessly. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes it gets kind of tangled somewhere in there. And if that happens, you can always take both of the labels off and kind of re-string it around your hand or even around like a small piece of cardboard or something like that. Don't get frustrated by that. That happens to me all the time, and sometimes it depends just on the quality of the floss, sometimes too as to how easy it's gonna pull. So that would be the first step, is just to pull your floss and cut it. So for this first one, we need about 3 feet. So I don't have, at home at least, I don't have an easy measuring tape. So what I do is an arm's length, and I do from like my fingertip to my collarbone. Somehow I figure that's like about 3 feet, and is an easy, like reachable thing. So you're gonna wanna cut all 5 at that 3-foot length. That's step number 1. So the first one that we're gonna do is a 5-strand braid. So in the end, it really just looks like a braid, but like tricks your eye because it's got 5 different colors instead of 3. The next step is fairly easy. You're gonna take your 3-foot strand, and then you're gonna fold it in half into even parts. You wanna make sure it's, you don't have any pieces that are like 2 inches longer than the others. So as even as you can get them. And then you're gonna take the other end. So over here, you're going to leave about 1 inch of a loop so that you can tie it to your arm later. And then you're just gonna make a simple knot. So I'm just gonna loop this. And then put that end there. And then you do wanna make sure you catch all of those. And they're about the same length, so you can pull. Okay. And then you've got your knot. That one's a little bit bigger than some, but anywhere from about 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch. So then if you have some tape, if you're working on a table and you've got some tape handy, that will be helpful. If not, you could just put like, maybe not your phone, but like something heavy on there to attach it to your tabletop. Another solution, if you're working on a couch or somewhere a little more comfy, you can safety pin your tie, your loop. You can safety pin that either to your jeans or to a pillow, something soft. You just want some resistance on it so that you can hold it tightly and it doesn't go somewhere. So you got your 5 down all separate. I have done a couple of beginning strands here, but what you want to do is put 3. Again, I'm left-handed, but I think you're gonna work left, then you're gonna work right. So it really doesn't matter. You're gonna put 3 on the left-hand side and 2 on the right-hand side. So you're just gonna separate them, leave a little bit of gap in the middle so you can tell which one's which. And then this is the knot. This is it. I'll do it a couple times and keep explaining it, but you're just gonna take whichever side has 3. So like that's your working side. That's where you want to grab from every single time. So we're going to go, right now I've got 3 on the left, then we're going to switch and we're going to have 3 on the right. So what you're going to do is take I've got my black one, but whichever one is on the most left hand, we're gonna go over the second one, under that third one, and then it's gonna become the fourth one. So I'll do that a bunch more times, but I'm gonna do it from the right hand side now. So I'm gonna take my pink one, my very right hand, and go over that one, under this one, and then it's gonna become that third one. And sometimes when I first started on doing this pattern, the top was super loose. So if you're, as you're working, if you notice that like you're pulling at different weights, so like at first you were, you weren't pulling very tight, then you started pulling really tight, you can kind of start to go back and kind of pull a couple and make it even. Let's see. iPhone says threads are tangled. Yeah, let's do it a couple more times. So I'm gonna start back with 3 on the left and 2 on the right. And I'm gonna start with my leftmost string and put it over the second one. And then the third one, maybe this would help you more, is you can put the third one on top instead of thinking of it as under, whichever is most helpful, but over, under, and then cross is kind of the pattern. So from my right side, I'm gonna go same thing, over the first one, under the second one, and cross to my other side.
This feels right.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So one thing that I forgot to mention again at the beginning, you know, brain's a little mushy these days. But before you even start, a good tip that I like to use, because I don't have any clue the size of my wrist or a friend's wrist or anything like that, but it's just to take a piece of like a scrap piece or one that you're using, measure your own wrist and cut a piece. I would just leave at least 2 inches extra to accommodate tying it and like your knot and everything. Something like that. Having something that you know, like kind of what your goal length is gonna be, is helpful, because then you can hold that up and then know when you're gotten there. And then if you do ever, especially with this design with the 2 and the 3 balance, if you did ever have to get up, I would just tape, you know, tape or even tie a knot or something, like tie these 2, tie 2 together and tie 3 together. Just do something to make sure that you kind of leave it as you were working. So if you are done, what you can do to move on to the next step would be to cut another 36-inch 3-foot piece. I did another one with the exact same 5 colors. This one you could do with more if you wanted 6, 7, 8 colors, or you could do with less. So this one's kind of totally up to you. Does not need to be 5, but I did 5 just for consistency's sake. So tie another 36-inch pieces, cut them, tie them. But you're gonna tie it in half again. And then when you go to tape this one down on your tabletop, you're going to instead of connecting like your 2 black strands together, you're gonna separate them and have, I'm gonna have like pink on the left and a pink on the right. So I'm gonna, let's see, make sure I'm in view here. So here's my second one. I'm gonna do a pink on the left, pink on the right. So, okay, ready, cool. So this one is a fishtail. So this, once you master this, you can try it on your hair. Good luck. I don't know how. I can do it on embroidery floss, I can do it on my hair. So like we said, we're gonna split into 2 halves. So I've got a pink on each end. We've still got 10 total, 5 different colors. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to take my left pink one and go into the middle here, and then my right pink one and into the middle here. So it's, at first, it's really not going to look like anything, but it just takes a lot of time. So you're going to keep doing that from outside to inside and kind of doing just on top, on top, on top, on top. So I'll keep doing a couple more, and it should start to look like something. So I'm just going to take my outside one, and I'm going to go into the middle, and then my right outside one, and go into the middle. So you're essentially working in two halves, so it should be a little bit easier to tell, you know, which color is which, because if you've got two of one color on one side, then you kind of need to recalibrate. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go from left outside to the center, right outside to the center, and then you can keep kind of pulling up and adjusting at the top there. So go outside, center, outside, center. So this is where, if you decided you wanted different colors, or like different, if you wanted the two sides to be different, this is a total wild card. So hopefully it doesn't, keep doing what I told you in symmetrical order if that's what you want to do. If you wanted to switch it up, you could like make the two halves different, if that makes sense. You know, that might just be too much, but there are often customization options with all of these things.
Hey, we're totally behind. So you said to mirror the colors, right?
Yep, you're gonna mirror the colors. So you want 5 on the left and 5 on the right.
Okay, and then what?
Yep, so then you're gonna take your left outside thread,
left outside,
move it to the center here, and you're gonna take your right outside thread and move it to the center on top of that one. So you're switching, you're going from outside to inside, and they're crisscrossing in the middle.
Oh, okay. And then we just keep doing that?
Yep, you just keep doing that. So the first couple really don't look like much.
Pull tight on this.
And then, so you do want to pull pretty tight, not super, super tight on this one, because you'll notice it will kind of push things out of order. So you just, maybe once you've got closer to 2 inches, you can start to pull pretty tight, but this first inch is a little bit loose, and that's okay. So I'm just going to go from outside to the center. If it is loose, especially with this pattern, what you can do is also like hold it with your thumb and just kind of pull loose, you know, not super aggressively, but slightly pull each end, and it should kind of pull some of those ends a little bit tighter. The other thing you can do is once you've tried the pattern, maybe it's more helpful, instead of, again, like I was kind of working back from the edge of my tabletop, like really far away, to pull in a little bit closer. And instead, let's see, what color am I working on here? Purple. So then you can start to just hold your two halves, each and every hand, and then just pass from hand to hand. Might allow you to get a little more tension on your bracelet, as opposed to just setting it on the tabletop. You can kind of pull it up a little more like that. Does that make sense? If your problem is definitely loose or like it being even, holding it up here and like working a little bit closer, I think will probably help most of you if that. The way that I like to end them is actually, if you can see this third one over here, is by braiding like a normal braid, the 2 halves of either one of these. So we have 5 strands, and so we're just gonna fake one of those and have 2, 2, and 1, and just do a normal braid. Oh gosh, if I have to, I don't know how to explain a normal braid. It just happens without. Well, let's see. Some of you look very puzzled at me. I'm gonna take I've got 3 strands, 1 in the center, 1 on each side. I'm gonna go over, left, over, right, left, right, left, right. That's a hard one to do, to break down, because it's
like automatic at this point.
It's automatic. I've been braiding things for way too long. So you do want to be careful as you're braiding to make sure you're not knotting the rest of your bracelet. But you really only need about 1 inch of this braid. So it does not have to look perfect either. It's just something to kind of secure your other bracelet, especially if you're sending it to a friend and not tying it. So I'll show that again on this one, and hopefully I'll be able to use my words a little bit better. But I've got 3 strands, so I'm going to go left on top of the center, right on top of the center, left on top of the center, and each time I'm going, when I'm crossing center, I'm essentially switching sides.
So you're just braiding one side?
So I'm braiding this one is the one I just did, my fishtail. So I already had 2 halves. So I'm just braiding normal braid.
Okay.
The 2 halves, yeah.
Okay. What do I do with the first one that had 5? Do you take one of it only had 2, 2 strands on the side?
Yeah, so you could, let's see. Yeah, let's just split that back into 5 and 5. So you'll just
5 and 5, okay.
Yeah, you'll just maneuver one back over.
Okay.
So, yeah. Good question. Numbers are hard sometimes. Okay. So now we've got our 2.
It's way too big.
And if it's too big, that's a better problem to have than it being.
Yeah, it's way too big.
And we can make that work. That's actually what happened to one of my demos as well. So it's totally fine if it's too big. Okay, so once you've braided these and unknotted anything that you knotted at the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna untape this. Okay, so you've got your finished bracelet. You've got your loop at one end. You got your 2 half braids at the other. You're just going to take one of your half braids through the loop there. So then you'll end up with, should end up with what looks something like this. Your bracelet, and then you've kind of got like a V, your loop meets the end of your bracelet here. So nothing's tied, but at least it's looped so that you can get it on your wrist without a lot of one-handed awkwardness.
Oh, there. So then you got this. Am I dead? What? Oh, sorry. I forgot that I wasn't muted anymore.
You're good. You're good. You're probably thinking what a lot of people are like, I don't know what I'm doing. So if this makes sense to you and you want to, you're ready to tie it on your wrist, or you're ready to watch me tie it on my wrist, all you're gonna do here, if you like the size of this, so if where your loop meets the end of your formal bracelet, the easy way to do it is then to just tie those two braided ends
Okay. And that
in a knot.
you're on.
Does that make sense? I don't know if my hand's like covering everything I'm doing, so you guys totally tell me if it makes no sense. So, and there are many ways to tie these. This is, I just found was a good way when I only had my hand and not an assistant. There also are some more complicated like slip knots and things like that if you want to be able to like get it on and off all the time. But I also found as an adult, I'm like, I probably want to make this just a little bigger so I can slip it on and off, as opposed to way back in the day, I had them super tight and I like, couldn't get them off for months on end. Okay, so if you've got, let's see, what did I do here? Okay, so I will show that again. This one's not quite as done as the last one, but the process is still the same. So I'll just take it off and show you one thing. So I've got my loop, got my bracelet, and then I've got braided tails at the end. I'm gonna put one tail through the loop. I'm gonna slip this on there. This one has not quite long enough, but you can still, the reason we've got the two braided ends right there is that it gives you an easy way to just tie a normal knot instead of having all 10 strands together. So something like that. You should end up with your knot right next to your loop, and that kind of becomes the back of your bracelet and the rest. So then you can still do the half braids like that just to get it, just in case, get started, but then you'll end up just putting it through there. I'm just gonna tie a good old knot wherever you want it. So once you've got it tied and you feel pretty secure about that knot, you're just gonna cut it. It feels very like cutting your own bangs. It's a little scary.
Yeah.
You're just gonna cut it. I would leave about 1/2 inch, you know, somewhere in that ball game. There's no, yeah, I don't have a secret, at least right now, for hiding that knot. That's where you would have to make like a kind of a slip knot kind of deal, but that would be a whole nother hour. So yeah, then you'll just have a little tail, and that will inevitably kind of fall to, gravity will make that fall to the back.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. If anybody, I'll stick around if you guys want to stick around, if you want to try one more. If you're done, no hard feelings. It's
Thank you.
These were really super fun for me to do, so I hope you enjoyed them and feel some like satisfaction that it's something you can tackle in a short amount of time and make for all of your friends, as opposed to like spending a week on one bracelet. And okay, so my phone is hooked up to here, so I'm not able to take pictures, but if you've been taking pictures, or once you make a couple, if you want to take some pictures, definitely do so. And you can tag A Sweat Life and Indigo and Violet Studio on the social media things.